Let me do my countdown. Countdown. Hello, everyone. I'm going to try to be a little quiet because H. Davis is taking his nap. Okay, so we're going to be kind of quiet in class today. No, ma'am. Right here it is. Right here it is, Justice. Oh, you mean you're not going to get the ruler today? So this is going to be very interesting conversation here. You guys know the trafficking, and I'm going to say trigger warning, okay? I always have to say trigger warning. I am one big trigger warning, for real. So, when the movie Sound of Freedom came out, I admit, I was excited. Hey, little Deb. I was excited about this movie. Now, after I watched the movie, and a lot of us did watch it, we came to find out that it was actually basically a movie about Tim Ballard. Now, Tim Ballard started an organization called OUR. It's like a underground trafficking situation. Now, we watched him go over to different countries, okay? And some of the things that he claimed were factual instances in the movie, we come to find out they are not what they seem. They are not what they seem. Now, to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure what even brought my attention back to Tim Ballard, but my oh my, what Remain Calm found is very, very heartbreaking. So the Operation Underground Railroad is said to not even be a legitimate anti-trafficking organization. And as I say, my opinion is not necessarily the opinions of others. So some individuals who work very closely with numerous anti-trafficking organizations, ranges from working with large international organizations such as the UN connected International Organization for Migration and the United States Office on Drugs and Crime, to a very small organization, example, Pacific Links in Vietnam, Urban Light in Northern Thailand. Legitimate anti-trafficking organizations tend to respect local jurisdictions in the places they work. They try to work with the governments. Even when the government is frustrating to work with, these organizations also try to put an emphasis on protecting the rights of the victims of trafficking. One of the recent trends is to figure out effective ways to solicit input from survivors of human trafficking and all aspects of trafficking work. In theory, this can help ensure the frontline officers do not treat victims as criminals and provide an environment in which they are willing to cooperate. Now, from my understanding, there is not much proof of the number of children that the Operation Underground Railroad actually saved. So we're going to get a little bit more into that. First, I want to show you guys something here. Let me find it. Oh, I've got many tabs pulled up on this, you guys. Many tabs. Okay, so how do I want to do this first? All right, let me pull my watch later list up here. Give me just a moment. I am just, this is blowing my mind. So this is Tim Ballard. And he is talking about, okay, May, what do you want me to do? Well, are you wanting people to go over and watch Crime Stories Obsessed? Or are you wanting me to look into it? What's up, Sassy? Yeah, what are you wanting me to do there, girlfriend? For real. Enlighten, remain calm, May, on what you would like for me to do. But thank you very much for bringing it to my attention. It all needs to stop. Well, I mean, look at the case that I've started covering. I haven't even finished covering a case where the last person to see a young mother and her child was a ex-boyfriend. Okay, so Tim Ballard is going to tell us about something that he calls a couples ruse. Okay, let me get it pulled up here for you guys. All right, now I'm going to tell you why he's explaining this. Why he is explaining this. Okay, now this dude, this might have been after he had his $8,000 surgery, right? But this is Tim Ballard, and he's telling us about something that they use in his organization. And after he tells us about it, I am going to tell you the reason I think that he came out to speak about this ruse. Okay?
Guys, I want to tell you about a very important undercover tactic that we use that involves female operators. I don't like to give away tactics because by doing that, it puts people at risk and maybe we rescue less kids. But based on the allegations that are flying around and the questions being asked, we've decided that it's better to tell you these tactics so that we can preserve the vehicle.
The accusations flying around. I'm going to let him explain this. Then I'm going to tell you about the accusations that have been put out against Tim Ballard.
That continues to rescue children. And so I'm going to tell you, and while I do so, I'm going to pay homage, respect, love, and gratitude for these female operators who serve such an important role, maybe the most important role in rescue operations. You need to understand that children don't just fall out of the sky. They don't fall into your desk. It's a very proactive work, and it's dirty, and it's ugly, and nothing about it could possibly relate to the world that the rest of us live in. Going undercover to find children is wading through a sewer. These children are found in places like strip clubs, brothels, dirty spas, places where high-end escorts are controlling the situations, traffickers. So if I am a man or one of my operators walks into one of these places and is approached by a trafficker trying to put a child to service on that.
Oh my gosh. So now I know that Sassy and Justice talk on the phone. That's a scary thought. I'm so saddened. This world is so difficult to live in peacefully. Nobody has the right to hurt another person. It's just not right. You're absolutely right, May May. Hey, Cursed, how are you? Today, our anniversary, 29 years today. Got dinner at 7 after I get off work. Oh, that's wonderful, Justice. I've been waiting on cover. This best that it's you. I bet. Oh, you've been waiting on somebody to cover it? Well, where I feel like such a fool, and I'm not going to say that some of the highlighted issues on trafficking were not, correct. But this guy, I have found out, has told so many untruths.
Person or a sex worker, and that man, now you think about this, and that man, that operator doesn't partake of what's being offered. They lose credibility, they're kicked out of the place, and no one's going to get rescued.
So basically what he's saying is, I got to play the part. And my undercover female couple is supposed to just play the part. But how far into it did he play the part? We're going to be talking about 7 different females. 7 different females. Also, it has been, I'll say alleged, because I don't know if he's went to court or not, that a lot of the money that he made through the underground trafficking organization, he actually spent on ladies of the night, among other things. Okay? This guy who has put himself out to the world to be this big hero for children. My, oh my. Wow.
And so we came up with a concept that we call the couples ruse, or the couples tactic, where you go in together, pretending to be a husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. Now you go in, and one of you could pretend that, yes, I want to partake in this sex act with this woman or this child, but I can't because my girlfriend won't let me, but maybe we can do it later.
You hear what he's saying?
So is that cool? Like, let's keep talking and she'll warm up to it eventually. That's one idea. There's 100 different ways to do it, but the bottom line is we block for each other. So the trafficker sees the situation, recognizes that I have every excuse not to partake, and he won't kick me out. And now I have the opportunity to build rapport, to get more intel, to dig deeper. It has worked. Hundreds, maybe thousands of children on my watch have been rescued using this.
Prove it. Now we all want proof, sir, exactly what you were, or how you were going about to save these children. Now, in the movie, there is a female that brings children to a party. She is actually suing. She is suing Tim Ballard and the organization. I'm just getting started, you guys. And like I said, big time trigger warning. And please dress up your words in chat, because I know some of you are going to have a lot to say about this. Yeah, I had a really bad headache too. I just wanted you to know I researched the woman on TikTok that put the alleged pics of the child she has been harassed by Jim Terry. Okay, all right. What would you like for me to do, Pink Lotus? What would you like for me to do?
It's an amazing tactic, but it hurts. It beats you up. I just listened to my wife on Ron Arquette last night, and I cried as I listened to what she was saying. That it requires great healing. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I'm grateful to tell you that we draw lines. We have rules, very specific rules. So we keep our morality and my faith, keep my covenants that I made with my wife, and I have. And so
basically, are you telling us about the Couples Ruse to let us know that that does exist, sir? Or are you trying to COA your butt because of what I'm about ready to show? Well, thank you, Pink Lotus. I will keep that under my hat. But I seen a lot wrong with I seen a lot wrong on how all that played out too, Pink Lotus, but I'm just not the type that's gonna come on here and bash her. Oh, yeah, right, May. Why don't you send me one, girl?
I want to thank all of you who have sacrificed, men and women who have sacrificed so much. I know what you're dealing with because I deal with it. And now's the time for me to heal. The Sound of Freedom has made it impossible for me to do operations anymore because it got too big, and it probably saved my life. As I've had these talks over the last several weeks with these amazing, heroic female operators, they want their voices heard. They want you to know what it's been like for them working.
Absolutely, they have, and I'm getting ready to show you guys. Let's just show these women testifying. This is the Salt Lake Tribune. Credit goes out to them. We're going to hear, we are going to hear what these women say about the Couples Ruse. Well, I'll tell you what, Pink Lotus. My email is maryh3821@gmail.com. If she wants to come over here to my channel and have a conversation with me, that's absolutely fine. But other than that, I'm talking about trafficking right now. But yeah, hit her up if she wants to come over and, you know, have a conversation about it. I will welcome her here. Okay? Now, these are the 7 women who have filed charges against Tim Ballard, his little Couples Ruse, right? So let's hear what they have to say.
I was the closest person to Tim. I traveled with him around the world, thinking we were saving kids and doing something good. I traveled with him.
Closed caption is on.
Promoting the Sound of Freedom movie throughout the domestic and international tours. Can I have one of those?
Here, I'll slow it down. I got it going too fast, I think.
I also served as his personal therapist at all hours of the day and night. I had to be available 24/7 to give assurances to Tim of what a great guy he is to navigate his emotional meltdowns and his threat of suicide. On top of all this,
So she's saying that the whole time that she was with the organization and basically being used as a undercover female that he uses to take with him on these so-called missions. She's saying he has a lot of meltdowns, that she was basically his therapist. We all know how that is, right? Hey, Jill.
yes, I was also Tim's partner in the Couples Ruse. I joined Operation Underground Railroad to help save kids from sex trafficking. I wanted to make a difference and be the light in the darkness. I wanted to help fight the bad guys. Instead, I became an easy target for the worst guy of all.
She's saying she did this to help the kids. Hey, the mouse, how are you doing? I say bashing relieves frustration. Well, yeah, I mean, okay.
Saving kids and helping trafficking victims. I unknowingly became a victim myself. The very organization that claims to fight traffickers turned me over to the trafficker. No one did anything to protect me. I worked tirelessly day and night for the good of the cause. I sacrificed time I can never get back from my family, my kids, and my husband. For my efforts and my sacrifice, I was left with a broken marriage, a broken spirit. As a special thank you, I was molested and sexually assaulted by Tim in 4 different states.
She is alleging that, along with 6 other women, that he assaulted them in, she's saying, 4 different states. So what is that right now, before I show anything else? What is being alleged against Tim Ballard, the hero who came out to rescue our trafficked children? They're alleging that the man himself can be considered a trafficker. And like I said, today's content is going to be pretty heavy. So please feel free to say bye for a little while and come back another time, for real.
5 different countries in the span of 10 months. Tim manipulated and abused and brainwashed me to a point where I didn't know left from right and right from wrong. We were always under some kind of spiritual attack, under immense danger, and everyone was always out to get us because we were exposing evil pedophiles. The truth is, the only evil I really saw was Tim Ballard and what.
See, that's very interesting, right? So he was taking this woman that we've heard so far, because you guys know me, a lot of stuff that I show you guys, I'm watching it at the same time for the first time, because that's how we roll over here. So he's making her believe that the danger is out there, and basically it sounds like trying to convince her that he's her hero also. This guy, man, I'm telling you, I am so mad at myself for even believing. I should have known. I should have known. Not all of them, but the majority of individuals who, you know, climb up on that hill and think that they're almighty, there's something wrong. Something wrong. They are, yes, they're taking him to court.
He did to me. Looking back now, I know it was all an elaborate ploy just to justify Tim's wicked desires. I realize that some of you will say, why didn't you leave? Or why didn't you speak up sooner? The answer is I still don't know. The level of manipulation that Tim Ballard used is hard to comprehend. There are reasons victims stay with their abusers, and crimes of this nature go unreported, especially when the man in question is powerful, connected, worshipped, and protected by Utah's Attorney General. It wasn't until I was able to get away from Tim's grasp and influence that I realized who he really was. The pain of the trauma of what really happened to me didn't even really start to sink in until Tim's control over me subsided. I hope that coming out publicly can help ensure that no woman has to suffer at the hands of Tim Ballard ever again. It is humiliating to publicly admit that I have been so badly deceived. It is scary to face the potential public shame of what happened to me. I wish I wasn't in this position today, but I feel like this needs to be done so that Tim, as well as the individuals and organizations who enabled him, can be brought to justice for all the crimes he's committed and hurt the people he hurt.
I am truly devastated by
This is
the
number
situation
2.
I find myself in. I used to have complete faith in OUR and Tim Ballard. After our recent interactions with OUR, the little amount of faith I had left in them was completely decimated. The situations I was put in by Tim, the manipulation, gaslighting, and sexual assault and sexual abuse I have experienced from Tim Ballard has had a devastating impact on my life and those around me.
So he was taking these women, you guys. He was taking these women and he was making them believe, hey, Minnie Pearl, making them believe that that what he was physically doing to them, whether it be one instance was in a hot tub and he was putting his hands under her bathing suit and stuff. His excuse with a lot of these cases with these women were that it was a couples ruse and they had to 100% look like they were a couple to encourage these horrible pedophiles and to, this is what he said, okay? This is what he said, which is weird. He was like, as a couple, we would go in, we would be, I would make the trafficker think that, you know, hey, I'm looking for this, but you know, I can't, you know, do it with my wife here. She'll get mad. You know, I need to soften her up a little bit. So he's saying that he used the women, you know, to cover him basically getting with these evil monsters and setting up another date or even time for that evil monster to talk about young kids or offer to let him buy some time with a child. Now, another thing that they talked about, and I really didn't think about this, okay? When these undercover individuals would go to an area where they would get these traffickers to bring these children or young women, right? If a trafficker told one of those individuals that they needed to touch a child's breast, let's say, to prove that they're not undercover, that actually puts these undercover men in, a bad light. It's just, I never even thought about that before. I don't get it. I'm not involved with. Well, absolutely was his. I absolutely see what you're saying. But if you are convinced, if someone convinces you that what you are doing is going to help save a child in some way, I guess I wouldn't know what to think.
He told me if I ever told anyone that he had contacts everywhere with the Attorney General, the police force. He made it seem that people were listening to all our conversations through all sorts of electronics. I was terrified to tell anyone, especially.
No, you're fine with this.
I confided in a few close friends about what I went through, but at the time I didn't want Tim's actions to be the downfall of the organization. A month after cutting ties with Tim, my father passed away. I was unsure of how to cope with everything that had happened, and I ended up blocking most of it out. When the previews of The Sound of Freedom started to come out, it triggered physical reactions in me that I did not understand. Whenever the movie was mentioned or I saw advertisements for it, it started bringing back painful memories. I was suffering from severe PTSD, and my body was reacting without my mind fully understanding why. It prevented me from functioning at my normal level, causing me to lose clients and a job. I fell into a deep depression. Someone approached me about a lawsuit informing me that they had reported my incident to OUR back in 2021, but nothing was done. In fact, I was told they originally wanted to come after me. They never reached out to me. That made me feel very small.
So this guy is definitely throwing around his weight. Hey, Flies. I love Charlie. I want Charlie. I want Charlie, Flies. I love Charlie. I love Charlie. Oh, let's see how many people run with that. Remain calm wants Charlie. She loves Charlie. You're damn right. The better Charlie.
A company that saves women and children from sex trafficking would cover up a horrific incident to save themselves.
They covered it up.
Now I'm slowly working through everything and gaining an understanding of what happened to me.
Check this out. I'm going to show you.
Oh, no, I don't want to check that out. I didn't want to check that out, but thank you very much.
Constantly reminding myself.
And let me say this. He is Mormon. Tim Ballard is Mormon. And the Mormon church was like, you got to go, sir. I was so sad Charlie didn't run for president. Everyone loves him. That is so funny you say that, Chai. This makes you wonder if he does this to women, what kids has he done and trafficked? This is interesting too. Yes, the organization, from my understanding, And believe me, I've went down a rabbit hole on this, right? And many have looked into the aftercare of some of the women, some of the children and women that were rescued, and they can't find any information on them. Now, does that mean that they're somewhere being harmed? Absolutely not, because we got to remember that a victim in anything horrific like that, usually, especially a child, their information isn't going to just be, given out to just anybody. But there were a couple reputable people that were actually in the organization itself that tried to find out and couldn't find out. So,
of my strength and bravery. I'm confident in standing here today to tell you all my truth and knowing my truth.
that's a great question, We're going to get into that.
With these women and this man. I'm so proud that I came forward, and I will not allow OUR or Tim Ballard to treat anyone else the way that I was treated.
Good for you, girl. And let me say this. What was I going to say? What was I going to say? We're going to talk about, in the movie, if you haven't seen it, there's a scene where there's children and they're taken to this party where, there were rich white men who were going to pay a lot of money. The female in that scene, the older female who allegedly brought all these kids to that party and was arrested in that scene, is actually suing Tim Ballard and the organization. And we'll get into that.
I will not stand by and allow Tim Ballard to hurt anyone else, to abuse anyone else.
Yes, it's kind of like an Ernie Shell scenario, right? Ernie went and rescued kids out of a tunnel. But did he really rescue kids out of the tunnel? I don't know.
I will use my voice against those who cover up predatory behavior or sexual assault. I want to be a voice for those who haven't had one and help them understand that they always have a choice and a way out. I want them to know that they are not alone. It's humiliating.
Wow.
To share the most mortifying moments of my life publicly. But it had to be done to stop.
Wait. People are taking this to discredit trafficking? I don't know. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yet I don't believe that this is discrediting trafficking, period, or with any certain organization. This is about Tim Ballard and his wrongdoings.
To Tim Ballard and OUR. The truth is finally coming to light, and the pure evil, can no longer hide.
My name is Bree Ryder. I'm a former Marine and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I treated the victims of trafficking for more than a decade, and Tim knew he could manipulate that. I came to OUR because I thought, what if I could intervene before someone ended up broken forever? before they had to suffer this kind of pain for the rest of their lives. I'd sat in a chair for 10 years and had held people's hands as adults who'd suffered what OUR and Tim fraudulently represented that they were fighting. It was obvious I could be manipulated because of how much I cared. I joined OUR and I was brought out to Utah for an interview.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say. That, and I've said this before. The movie, The Sound of Freedom, and this is just my opinion, did it show child trafficking situations that were said to have been actual situations? Yes, it did. It's been said that the situations, some of the situations that he showed were not factual. The movie The Sound of Freedom was allegedly based on Tim Ballard's life. Now, Tim Ballard went around, he was in the CIA, right? Well, it came out that he was in the CIA, but he sat behind a desk. He sat behind a desk. Well, people are going to think that, though, Chai. Don't get me started. I know. Ernie was freaking Ernie. But people were saying they knew trafficking was a lie way before the movie. Way before the movie. And this is my opinion too, that Tim Ballard had an ego. Also, a little narcissistic. But he took situations where these women were basically turned their lives over to Tim Ballard with the understanding that they were going to be helping child trafficking victims. It drives me crazy when people listen to their music and you can hear it a block away. For real. So I'm going to rewind this just a little tad bit, okay? I want you to hear her credentials. I want you to hear her credentials. These are not uneducated women, okay? These are not uneducated women.
I'm a former Marine and I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
Marine.
I treated the victims of trafficking for more than a decade, and Tim knew he could manipulate that. I came to OUR because I thought, what if I could intervene before someone ended up broken forever? Before they had to suffer this kind of pain for the rest of their lives. I'd sat in a chair for 10 years and had held people's hands as adults who'd suffered what OUR and Tim fraudulently represented that they were fighting. It was obvious I could be manipulated because of how much I cared. I joined OUR and I was brought out to Utah for an interview. That interview consisted of Tim immediately talking about the Couples Ruse. My background was not vetted. My references were not checked because the only thing that mattered to Tim was whether or not I thought I could engage in the Couples Ruse. He was obsessed with it.
Wow. Her credentials are unbelievable. God bless her. But he didn't care about anything. Yes, innocent ones are being destroyed mentally and physically. He was only interested in the couples ruse. That's kind of like a slap in her face, just for the credentials she had. How sad is that?
He asked everyone else to leave the room, asked me if I was gay because I have a half-shaved head. I said no. He said, "Are you bi?" I said yes. He was really excited to hear that because that's going to be great. Because when you're interacting with women in strip clubs and stuff, you'll actually be attracted to them. And that's great.
Wow.
The entire perspective of Tim Ballard is through a manipulative and sexualized lens. You see narcissism and sociopathy in everything that he does because he has no empathy. The pain that you see here before you is a fraction. It's a fraction of the pain that he's caused. Because there are other people that aren't here that are suffering just as bad and are terrified because of the threats and manipulations he made regarding his association with the AG. And OUR knew. When I got back from an op, and all of my story is detailed in an article released by Vice only a few days ago. When I got back from that op in the British Virgin Islands, I called Matt Osborne, and I had a long conversation with Matt Osborne, who was the director of international operations of OUR at the time. And I detailed for him every concern that I had, from Tim Ballard's obvious mental health problems, the couples ruse and his obsession with it, evidence mishandling, the extremely dangerous situations that he put us in. There was no accountability. Matt Osborne immediately acknowledged that there was some awareness that all of this was taking place. He was not surprised to hear it. He said others had called him and told him the same thing over the last few years. He said, I'm going to call Brad Damon and we're going to have a meeting with Tim and see what happens. What happened was I got a threatening phone call from Tim the week later asking if I...
Oh my gosh. So she told the truth and he called her. That is very disturbing in itself. Wow. I got so much to say, you guys. I got too much to say on this.
betrayed him and that I should be careful. And I told him, well, Tim, I think trying to help you and your organization is not a betrayal. And I think you need to get mental health help. And of course, none of that happened. My injury followed that because still at that point, I believed that OUR was what they represented themselves to be. Sure, they defrauded all of us. They defrauded multi-million-dollar donors, right? Still, people are donating to OUR because they believe that OUR does what they say they're going to do. But they're not rescuing children. They're making a morality play for money and for donations, and they're using videos of us and other fake operations like the training where I was injured. And there's a video. I believe you've been provided with the video.
Oh my gosh, she's the one who got injured. They were doing a training video and something happened and she, trigger warning, lost her eye. She gave seminars, Chai? Do you want to come up here, Chai? You want to come up? I'll drop the link if you want. I don't care who comes up. Anybody who wants to come up can come up. Open conversation. There you go, ma'am.
There are many videos of everything that we've done because the whole point of it was so that Tim and OUR could extract donations for people using this footage. And as a result of that training, I was badly injured, closed head injury. This is not bone anymore. This is silicone and titanium implant. And I wake up every morning with fluid buildup. I have no peripheral vision. It's all double vision. And I will live with this for the rest of my life. My daughter has a panic attack every time I need to leave town because she thinks mom is going to come home concussed and unable to think and unable to function and need surgery.
The whole point of her talking about getting injured is because she says, and other people stated, that Tim Ballard did not want to call an ambulance because this is alleged that he didn't want to call an ambulance. Hang on, that's my daughter. I'm live, darling. All right, bye. Poor child. She always calls me when I'm live. So the woman was hurt and he didn't want to call the ambulance because he didn't want it to look bad on our. So
I will say this. This is Kai. So I don't know her personally, but one of the reasons Tim Ballard had so many problems getting that film in because Netflix turned it down, everybody turned that down, is because he has such a bad reputation. He's not who he says he is.
well,
so-
no, he tried. This is basically what he tried to say. He tried to say that everybody was turning the film down because it was covering trafficking. That's what he tried to make people believe.
Well, I might go for part of that. I mean, that is true. People don't want to face trafficking. I've done it, I mean, for years and years. I can tell you people deny it. That didn't happen. Nothing like that ever happened, blah, blah. And it does. It happens every day in every way.
Right.
But this woman, she used to give seminars and I got to go to one once. And I think she does them for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'm not 100%, but she looks familiar, like the woman that gives those. But there's like 1,000 of us in the seminar, to my defense. So I can't be 100% sure it was her.
Right.
She is smart, she is funny, and she is spot on, and she has no reason to make this up. I believe her 100%.
Oh, I believe her too. But with Tim Ballard, you know, when the movie came out, what he was making people believe was that no one wanted to pick the film up because it was about trafficking, when now we know it was because he was shady.
Right.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. And there were rumors about him for years, which I found out later. I didn't know who he was. But then I found out later he really did just sit behind a desk. He didn't go out there in the field like Ernie and rescue kids from a tunnel. That's a joke. You know, he didn't do anything from what I understand. I think from what I'm hearing, basically is he took somebody else's life story and made it his own. Because there really is someone out there that did do all that did go to that island, that has rescued kids, that has tracked them down, that did almost, I don't know if he did lose his marriage or not, but his wife got sick of him not being home.
Right.
You know, and so this guy, there is somebody out there that dedicated everything, and he's a Christian, and he still works behind the scenes doing stuff, but he's retired, but I don't think he'll ever really retire from this. But anyway, Tim Ballard is something else. I feel like he took somebody else's life story, made it his own, but that's just my opinion. I can't prove that. There really is an operative in the CIA that left and did do that, captured victims and things. And you know, just remember, it's 99% of these victims know the person that trafficked them. You can meet them online, right? But they're lured.
Okay, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna pop over and read this statement really quick.
Okay.
This is a statement from MK. It's just initial. I've known Tim for a few years, working as a makeup artist on multiple production sets. It took a different turn 1 year ago while we were on set for Our organization, when I was asked to potentially go on a mission with the OUR. Tim was very persistent in having me on his team, and I was excited to learn more about what mission entailed. I asked if it was paid for, and he said I would be compensated and paid to go. After giving him my number and exchanging multiple text messages, I decided to meet with him, and he took me into a private room where the door was locked behind me. It was a bit sketchy, but I went along with it because it seemed like an interview at first. Then he sat down across from me and said, I needed to prove that we had a strong enough connection in order to be believable and potentially hired as his girlfriend for the mission coming up, which was about 2 months later. So I wasn't sure what to do. He stared at me and said, you can't touch me, but need to show me what you can basically. Wait a minute. Trigger warning. Show me what you do to basically turn me on enough that he would want to have sex with me. Then we were interrupted, and his bodyguard said he had to leave. Tim and I got close in proximity a few times, but I felt very confused about what the meeting was about or what exactly he needed to do. He was evasive with explaining and wanted me to do the work and come up with the ideas in the room to connect with him. After about 45 minutes in his office and talking about everything in detail, he made me feel like I passed the test, but I didn't know what it meant going forward. I wanted to support the cause, so I signed an NDA before entering the private room. There was a lot of talk and anticipation about different scenarios that could possibly happen if I was on a mission with him. I left and waited to hear from him again. Oh, Lord. Already, Chai, that's
Right. He has an established relationship with her. He's already gained her trust, and now he's grooming her. And even though they're both adults, grooming still happens.
exactly. Okay, so in his text messages to me, he was persistent and aggressive and very forward with me being involved. He wanted me on board and to say yes to being okay with the following scenarios. Here we go. Here's the scenarios, including if we were in a hot tub together, he would have to touch me under the water so they would believe we were into each other, which meant under my swimsuit. Okay? Which, if
Sure.
they are the only two and no one else is around, why would he need to do that? But she needed to be comfortable with it. Two, potentially we would have to shower together. Why would they need to shower together? If they were showering together, I would think there wouldn't be anybody else involved, right?
Right.
Hey, Birdie. Hey, little Deb. Okay. Here we go. We met on multiple occasions. He would ask if I could get together or see him after, but fortunately, I always had morning call times and usually couldn't go along with him. The man he talked me into meeting at the hotel with other OUR members for the official training. But when I asked what to attend when I arrived, I didn't end up being training at all. It was more club scenes and practice sessions, and I'm not sure what else went on because it was very private. So wait. So he talked her into going somewhere for okay, let me see this again, because at first it almost sounds like he had her meet another man at the hotel for official training, But when she asked what to attend in the training classes, it didn't end up being training. More club scenes, practice sessions, and I don't understand her statement. I'm not sure what else went on because it was very private. So I'm assuming. Okay. So she was told. I was told I'd be paid that weekend, but never got compensation from OUR. And I met Tim at my hotel room upon his request, where I did another audition to see if I was eligible. Now, Tim Ballard has come out and said that he has never sexually been with another woman, and so basically has never cheated on his wife.
Right.
But these are scenarios where he's grooming these women.
And they're specific and they're detailed. And if you're making something like that up, you're not going to remember all those details because of the trauma involved.
Exactly. Okay, so this time he wanted to see how far she was willing to go without physical contact. So I felt required to turn him on or give him a show by taking my clothes off, she said, into her underwear, and he told me to say F me as I looked into his eyes. He watched me on the chair. I felt very uncomfortable. I never said that word out loud before, but he said it was necessary. Wow. Wow, this guy is a freak. Because these things that he's having her do without touching him, that's not only a physical act of manipulation, but a kind of like a brainwashing type of thing.
Yes, it's like when I had sex offenders that would state they had lap dances, graphic lap dances, but they're
Right,
not really because they're not supposed to be interacting with people in those organizations, so to speak.
right.
And so that's how they justify it. Well, nobody touched me. Well, you're not supposed to be there. I mean, so that I feel like Tim Ballard has a lot of predatory behaviors. And I'm not demeaning his character, it's just my opinion. Um, that's just what I say because he's telling people, don't touch me. And because in his religion, he can't cheat on his wife, but
That's
he can have,
right.
it's like a lap dance with a sex
Yeah.
offender. They're like, oh, I didn't touch anyone. Well, you're not supposed to be in a relationship because you can't keep your hands to yourself.
Well, the
So,
thing about it is that video I showed where he is explaining what the Couples Ruse was all about. I think that the only reason that he even came out and did a video explaining what it was is to try to justify what he did to these women.
absolutely.
He brought it out, to me, he brought it out to tell people, oh, they're over exaggerating. This is what was needed to be done. And,
Sure.
if they were going to act like my girlfriend, then, I basically, even without them touching me, had to be turned on by them. This is what scares me in this whole thing so far, is that if he is telling them that if we may have to take a shower in front of someone, or we may be in a hot tub together where I have to touch you in front of these other people. How messed up is that?
Especially because it's for his own gratification. It has nothing to do with anything else but his own. I'm trying to think of how to make it YouTube friendly,
Well,
but for his
he's
own
over.
gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, they're already alleging that he's basically a trafficker himself. And these women were taking across state lines, some of them to a couple other countries. And at any time, something could have happened to these girls. So I feel that he placed them in very dangerous situations. I feel that way. That's the way I feel. Okay, so let's move on. Let me read another paragraph here. After a long while and with his arms around me, he said he was too turned on and that we should go to the gym together. I declined. I never saw him again. And later he told me he couldn't do the mission anymore because he was too well known. Oh, really? That's when it was confirmed to me that I had been used and played. It was all for his enjoyment. While I was in the middle of so much with work as a makeup artist and barely even keeping up with my insanely busy schedule, Tim decided to try to convince me to come with him on a mission, but instead there was no mission. So guess what happened there? She also did not get paid. Did not get paid. That would be red flag number one to me if I didn't get paid. Oh, hang on. How did you end up back there, girl? I don't see you backstage, Shy. Here's the link again. There's the link again, Shy. I didn't see you back there. No mission. This girl did all these things that she didn't want to do. Felt very uncomfortable doing them. All for naught. Thank you, Jill. Have a great day. Okay. So she said, I was disappointed that I was treated like an object and even more upset that it was all for his entertainment and pleasure. For a year, I sat in silence knowing my story wouldn't matter, but now maybe it will make a difference. After getting to the hotel at midnight, I was asked to sign another NDA and was told we would go clubbing that night as a prep for the mission. Oh, Lord. Thank you, Jill. Okay, so she had to sign another NDA, which would have been red flags to me. And they were going to go clubbing as a prep for the mission. He stayed in my room for about an hour. I declined because I was much too tired. He stayed in my motel room and asked me multiple times if I was recording him and if I was excited to be a part of this. I was in my pajamas and didn't understand what was going on or why he was asking me so many questions at 1 a.m. Did you get the link, Chai? He said this was all private and nobody could hear about anything or it would be used against me. So she was very tired, and he starts interrogating her at 1 o'clock in the morning because she don't want to go clubbing, as her little lesson for being used. She thinks and thought it was supposed to be for the children. Supposed to be for the children. I was told the next day to go to training, but there wasn't any training to go to. I left feeling depleted and used and completely confused. I was willing to go until I realized the truth about his project. I felt devalued after that day. He basically told me in a few texts that he didn't need me anymore. But if I still wanted to go on a mission, I could reach out to someone else. I didn't give him what he wanted. Other facts. Tim asked me to tattoo him up and go to a strip club with him. I declined. We met on multiple occasions and made me feel important by telling me I was perfect for the job. He was polite and he would open my door and give me compliments. Hang on. He would often check on me because I was so busy and even sick and working so much. I was also disappointed with the ORI Foundation and how they didn't do anything to stop him. How sad is that? I don't see you, Chai. I don't see you at all. I don't see you backstage, honey. So let me redrop you the link. Because I'm not seeing you for some reason. Hey, Lust to Lurk. He had a desk job at the CIA. He had a desk job at the CIA. Now, when I heard him talking about working for the CIA, I guess I didn't pay much attention to it. But I'm gonna, okay. I want you guys to, here, I want to make sure this, I want to make sure you guys can hear this okay. Chai, I don't know why I don't see you, honey. For real, I just dropped you another link. So I'm going to let him explain to you guys. I'm going to play this video again. And so he's explaining what the Couples Ruse, in his mind, what it was about.
About a very important undercover tactic that we use that involves female operators. I don't like to give away tactics because by doing that, it puts people at risk and maybe we rescue less kids. But based on the allegations that are flying around and the questions being asked, we've decided that it's better to tell you these tactics so that we can preserve the vehicle that continues to rescue children. And so I'm going to tell you, and while I do so, I'm going to pay homage, respect, love, and gratitude for these female operators who serve such an important role, maybe the most important role in rescue operations. You need to understand that children don't just fall out of the sky. They don't fall into your desk. It's a very proactive work, and it's dirty, and it's ugly, and nothing about it could possibly relate to the world that the rest of us live in. Going undercover to find children is wading through a sewer. These children are found in places like strip clubs, brothels, dirty spas, places where high-end escorts are controlling the situations, traffickers.
Now, the thing about it is, that's all true. Right,
Yes,
Jai? That
that's
is all
true.
true.
Every bit of it.
So I think it's just the fact that he took something that was supposed to be done for good and made it evil real quickly.
Right. He used his own power and control to impact I refer to them as his victims because
Right.
that's what they are. And he used power control using his position to basically engage them in doing illicit acts with him without actually
Right.
touching him.
Right.
So, and another reason why I believe that he knew not to let them touch him is because he didn't want to be charged. And he could have been charged for that.
Well, I think we might have somebody that he did touch. But like I said, a lot of times when I look at this stuff, I pull it up and then I'm like, I'm going to watch it with you guys so we can all, have a good conversation together here. So,
Now,
yeah,
to be fair, he had a desk job. He was able to leave. He was just okay. Like if there's two officers in a patrol car and the second officer just stands there, he would be the second officer if you want to. He wasn't a street cop, but I mean that's what he was. He was like a co-responder. He never did all the stuff that he said he did.
right.
That's what I'm saying. He had access. I'm
Well,
still,
like they said, Chai, while he worked for the CIA, the dude wrote freaking 10 books.
right.
So
On everybody else's life.
yeah. Yeah. So he had plenty of time to do that.
That's true.
All right.
And yeah, desk job Tim.
Yep. All right. Here's some more of his telling us what this couples ruse is.
So if I am a man or one of my operators walks into one of these places and is approached by a trafficker trying to put a child to service on that person or a sex worker, and that man, now you think about this, and that man, that operator doesn't partake of what's being offered, they lose credibility, they're kicked out of the place, and no one's going to get rescued. And so we came up with a concept that we call the couples ruse or the couples tactic, where you go in together, pretending to be a husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend. Now you go in and one of you could pretend that, yes, I want to partake in this sex act with this woman or this child, but I can't because my girlfriend won't let me, but maybe we can do it later. So,
okay. Now, where does any of that put a female in a hot tub, put a female in a shower?
Well, to start out, the first part of that is not accurate. They don't, he doesn't go and watch people solicit children because it's done in private. It's never done in public, right? He can go to a strip club. Yeah, there's underage kids working in strip clubs, 14-year-olds or whatever, and they shouldn't be. That's true. And some of them actually look like they're 21. I'm going to be honest. It shocks me to find out their age. But they don't do this couple thing to try to do entrapment because it won't hold up in court. So I don't know where he's getting that bull oni from.
Well, that's where he's getting sued by that Kelly woman, and I'm going to talk about that as soon as I pull it up. She was the one from the movie that they arrested, and it's not good for her. And she wasn't even charged. It's horrible. That whole story is horrible. All right, let's hear some more of these BS.
So is that cool? Like, let's keep talking and she'll warm up to it eventually. That's one idea. There's 100 different ways to do it, but the bottom line is we block for
Oh,
each other.
you dropped off
So the
again,
trafficker
Shy.
sees the situation, recognizes that I have every excuse not to partake, and he won't kick me out. And now I have the opportunity to build rapport, to get more intel, to dig deeper. It has worked. Hundreds, maybe thousands of children.
And this is the thing that gets me. He's putting numbers out there that have come into question. Now, I did. It's right there. I just dropped it again, Shy. These numbers have come into question. Now, the way that I feel about it, if one child was saved, then that's a positive. So,
Absolutely. I
but
apologize. I'm at work and the Wi-Fi is wonky.
oh
So,
no, you're fine. You're
okay.
fine. All right.
No, one child is worth it. But imagine how many killed children could be saved if he would tell the truth and
Yeah.
not make. We don't ever embellish. We don't make up stories. We don't do that because the truth is sick enough. You know.
Well, this is a thing. Like, he wouldn't even have come out and talked about the Couples Ruse until the women started telling that the things that he was making them do
Right.
had nothing to do with the situation that they should have been put in. And if he was telling them women, making them believe that they may have to shower together, they may have to do this together. If I have to touch you under your clothes, there's a reason for it. So I guess my question is, was he making them believe that he was actually going to do these things with individuals who he is telling them are traffickers and very bad people? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, and I think part of that he's living a fantasy, right? He's fantasizing what he wants to do to them. And in another one, he wants to do that. Say they did get in a hot tub together and they assume they're being filmed because we did have a case, not obviously with this guy, where this, we have a lot of underground rappers that
Right,
claim they're making rap videos.
right.
They're not. It's assault videos with SA involved. And they're like, there's a camera up there. I'm just gonna, pretend to touch you, but I am really gonna touch you, but it's not,
Right,
it doesn't mean.
right.
So I have a feeling he might be doing something like that. I don't know, but absolutely there was never a scene with him with anybody in a hot tub that I remember
Oh
in the
no.
movie.
Actually, I don't remember. Was there even the only lead role that a woman had in the movie, if I remember correctly, was Mira Sorvini, and she played Jim Caviezel's wife,
That's right.
which was supposed to be Tim Ballard's wife in the
Yep.
movie. Uh,
Yep.
and that is also sad to me. It's weird to me that Mira Sorvini is such a spokesperson for trafficking.
Right.
So it makes you think, well, I don't want to put that on her, if she knew how shady he was before she did the movie.
I don't think she would have done it. If she knew that, I don't think she would have known. I don't think she would have
Yeah,
done that.
that's the way I feel about it too. All right,
Mm-mm.
let's hear some more of this nonsense.
On my watch have been rescued using this amazing tactic, but it hurts.
That is so not true, Chai. I'm calling him out on his bull crap right there.
Right.
Hundreds and thousands of children have been saved on his watch because of this Couples Ruse. Now,
Which does no.
Yeah, he's saying on his watch.
Right. And it's not only on his watch, it's on nobody's watch. Now, they do have couples ruses, okay, but that's not what it's called. Nice try there, buddy. But
Well, and I'm sure that they don't consist of what he's making them do.
no. And when kids are exchanged, they're not exchanged in the strip club, they're exchanged in a room behind the strip club.
Exactly, exactly.
And for him to say
Yes,
it's a public event, it's in Thailand maybe, but not in America. I mean, in Thailand, it's sick. They sell kids in cages. I mean, they
yes,
really,
they do. They really
okay.
do.
But
Yeah.
in America, it's a secret society. In our country,
Well,
it's a secret.
do you remember that? You may not remember, but I talked about a case where this psycho dude uh, unalived a mother, and then he took the two children across state line and unalived. I believe she was 3 and her sister was 6. He kept the sister alive and said that he was going to use her as a sex slave. They found her in the vehicle, thank goodness. But the area where they found this little girl at, they said was an area they believed was used for human trafficking. They found the cages, they found a lot of things right there, the property where
Right.
he had left that car with that little girl in it. I will never forget that case. I need to check on that case some more.
Is that the one that was found near the railroad? Because there's a lot of kids that are on railroads. I mean, not a lot of kids, but I mean, traffickers like to, they're more teenagers, they're not kids. I don't remember if that's the case or not. I think
No, no, no. This little girl was found. I think there was. I'd have to find it and check for sure.
and another
Because it's. I hadn't talked about it for a while, so.
okay. Well, the other thing that gets me about this guy, the traffickers stay with their victims. They don't leave them alone to go exchange
Well,
hands.
yeah, absolutely. If
They have
something was to
absolute
happen,
control.
thank you, Poppy.
Oh, this guy makes me so mad.
I'll pin that. Oh, let me find where I was at. I mean, yeah, I'll tell you, I get kind of upset with it. I
get infuriated because, for one thing, women who do this type of work, I know from myself, I was never CIA. I only worked with the state. Just to be clear, I was a nobody. But I worked with people with the CIA and stuff like that that worked with my offenders, and they're very professional. They're on base. They never treat people poorly, but they treat women a lot differently than they do men. And so the women that work with the CIA weren't even mentioned on that on the video or in the movie, and that drives me crazy because women are treated a lot less. They're less than men.
right.
And that's always been my thing because I was,
Well, and that's funny
yeah,
because there are people think that that doesn't happen today, because women have become way more outspoken and we're in a woke society and things like that. And it absolutely does. There are many places where men still think that, women should be
sure,
beneath them. And it doesn't even matter if a female has more education than the
right.
man.
That's
For
right.
real. For
And if
real.
you have more education than them, you're going to pay for it because they're not going to let you forget. But I will say this, almost every FBI agent that I've ever worked with has been kind and treated me with dignity and respect. I was a tiny female and I'd never have problems with them. And most of them are attorneys. I don't know, for whatever reason they hire attorneys for this. But I will say the FBI is great. The CIA, not so much. I don't know. It's a different culture.
Right.
They treat women a lot differently. it's like a whole nother country. Like you have,
Right.
I can't even explain it, but the feds, or the FBI, we call them the feds. I've never been treated that poorly by them, but I've had a couple of CIA operatives come and watch my clients for child P cases,
Right.
and they're not rude. They're just very arrogant, standoffish. You know, it's like two different agencies. Like they don't even talk to the FBI. It's very different. So I feel like Tim Ballard came from that culture that they can't be touched. Nobody can bother him. They have global influence. You know, they have all of this different things that the FBI doesn't have. So I feel like that might be why, another reason he felt like he could do this, because of the culture of the CIA. I mean, they
Right.
actually, they're different. Their whole concept, I can't explain it. It's just different. They're arrogant. The FBI is not, I mean, they are, but they're not like, I mean, I was a low life, you know, SO officer for the state, but they treated me with respect, and even though I was a female. And
Right.
then the CIA, never.
Wow.
Just different.
Different. Yeah. Different organizations for sure.
Yep.
All right. Let's hear some more of this. Him saying that the Couples Ruse saved thousands and thousands of children on his watch. I don't believe that. I don't
Nope.
personally believe that.
Never
Using this
happened.
amazing tactic, but it hurts. It beats you up. I just listened to my wife on Rod Arquette last night, and I cried as I listened to what she was saying. That it requires great healing. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I'm grateful to tell you that we draw lines. We have rules, very specific rules. So we keep our morality and my faith, keep my covenants that I made with my wife, and I have. And so I want to thank all of you who have sacrificed, men and women who have sacrificed so much. I know what you're dealing with because I deal with it. And now's the time for me to heal. The Sound of Freedom has made it impossible for me to do operations anymore because it got too big, and it probably saved my life. As I've had these talks over the last several weeks with these amazing, heroic female operators, they want their voices heard. They want you to know what it's been like for them working with me and other operators. You, the supporters, you, the donors, it's time for you to look under the hood, and you can make your own decision about these tactics. But I want to pay homage to these female operators. I want to give them their opportunity to tell their story, their witness to the amazing work that they have done working with our teams. So please, over the next several days, listen to their testimonies, listen to the work they've done, and thank God for them for rescuing these children.
Okay, so like I have been doing, like Remain Calm has been doing. Let's go back to our butterflies for a minute.
Beautiful.
Okay. Let me see where I am here. We're going to go back to the women.
Yes.
And we're going to go back to number 3. Yes, thank you, Flies. Him and his girlfriend, Red Run the Girl's mom in Louisiana. And the 6-year-old baby sister was recovered in Mississippi. And if I remember the name, the last name was Brummer. I want to say Brummer. Yeah, I talked about that. I did a live on that. It was sad. I got to do an update on that. Okay, so let's go back, and we're going to finish the third, I'm going to call her victim, her statement.
I had bone fragments adhered to my facial nerve, and my whole side of my face was numb for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I still suffer from numbness. So this is just another example of the negligent behavior of OUR and how that negligent behavior is actively harming people, because there were over 60 people at that training. Again, no background checks, no vetting. In order to get into the training, we had to watch Operation Toussaint and write a statement about how much it meant to us. Right? This is
Wait, so they wasn't even vetting people who were coming in to an organization that allegedly saves trafficking children.
Now that is weird to me. I believe her. I don't know what training that was. We had to show our state ID, our badge that showed we were law enforcement to get into that training. But I bet she did seminars and other things to where it was open to the public, which that should never be open to the public. And the reason why is not because people want to be snotty about it. It's because nobody wants to give the traffickers a tip and say, we know what you're doing. I mean, everybody
That's
should be vetted.
crazy.
No, that's ridiculous. We had to show our IDs when we went to those trainings, especially for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And they ran us for warrants and checked us while we were standing there just to make sure nothing else happened. I mean, to make sure we were safe people. So for them to
Well,
have one of these.
this is what gets me. That little boy went missing in Florida. Everybody was looking for him. All the searchers that were sent out had to come up, show their ID, and have a background check ran on them.
And they should. And I'll tell you why, because SOs from the bad touch population love to search for children. It's their favorite thing. I mean,
That's so creepy.
they're sure, because you know what? They're saving a child. I've had them actually tell me that in my office because we had a missing child by us. And I was like, don't even think about it, because that's the first person they always check. They call and go, hey, these are your offenders in this zip code. And I'm like, we're going to go interview them and have fun. I'll go with them or I won't, depending on my schedule. But
Wow.
they do. And you know what? Look at John Cooey that was across from Jessica Lunsford. He was an unregistered SO.
Right.
And they knocked on his door and the people were like, well, come back with a warrant.
Wow.
He was in his garage. That happened. Oh, sorry. I'm going on a little tangent. Anyway,
Hey,
that's what I do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear what else she's got to say. Man,
Okay.
this just astounds me, really.
We had to prove our ability to be fully in the cause before we could move forward, and that's it. That's all they needed to know from us. And this is dangerous, and it's harmful, and it's devastating, and it's Tim and OUR, because OUR has taken no accountability and has facilitated actively and knowingly everything that Tim did.
Wow.
I am here painfully as a survivor myself, because I joined with many of you once all united with the company, man, a majority of the world, for a cause we all agreed on, which was to stop predators and protect women and children from sexual exploitation. What we as a group...
See, that's what pisses me off right there. These women wanted to save these children, and he manipulated that whole situation. He hasn't been to court yet, but he went and sued all these ladies. He's countersuing all these ladies.
That's people often, when they're guilty, send lawsuits and other things to people to get them to shut up. I'm just going to leave it at that, because there's a certain, and see, like I said, this is the culture of the CIA. It's acceptable to treat women like this. Nobody probably gave them a second glance.
Wow. So yeah, basically, Birdie said, so any criminal could have trained with them. Alternate reality.
Absolutely. That's why you have.
Saying.
I mean, we had to show our IDs. They ran us for warrants. They made sure we didn't have any recent arrests, because they only check us like every 6 months. How did they know we didn't get arrested 2 nights before? Right? They vetted us, and we had to be vetted. How in the world? And I believe this woman. They had a seminar open to the public. All you're doing is teaching them how to get away with crimes.
Exactly. All right, let's hear some more of her.
Have been through an experience personally in the same company has not just been painful for us. We know it's horrifying for many of you too. Not only has Tim continued with his elaborate storytelling and denials of our experiences, but OUR came out with the following statement. We are disappointed that the plaintiff's counsel continues to litigate this matter in public rather than accept our good faith efforts to resolve this dispute amicably. My apologies. This enrages me because there is a side they haven't shared. Many of us have given OUR and Tim multiple chances and warnings to take ownership, to make amends, and to protect their company and this cause privately, not only over several months, but years.
So these women were trying to do this without having to make it public like this.
Right.
And now they're coming back at them and saying, why didn't you do this privately with us?
Oh, yeah,
That,
that's
yeah,
typical.
that's a manipulation tactic for real.
Sure is.
Okay.
Have said we are out to hurt the cause and are pedophiles ourselves, whoever we are. But they know who we are and have lied about us. I have risked my life for this cause, and the pain and fallout from it has been tremendous.
Oh, wait, I want to rewind that a little bit. I want to hear what she says. I didn't quite catch what she said about the pedo, as I call them.
Over several months, but years. They have said we are out to hurt the cause and are pedophiles ourselves, whoever we are. But
hurt the cause and are pedos ourselves, whoever we are. So
Right.
are they trying to say that these women are?
They try to, from what I'm gathering, they're trying to intimidate the women by saying, "What are you talking about? We heard you like little kids too." You know, and
Oh, wow. Okay, that's why I wanted to rewind it, because I was like, wait a minute.
yeah,
Wow.
they use reverse. It's like the reverse Uno card. You throw it down and they reverse it right back at you. And they're like, we heard you do this to little kids." The
Wow.
CIA, I'm telling, just from working with a few, I probably only worked with a handful of agents over the years. Their culture is
Well,
different.
this is my thing. I mean, this is just right in everybody's face.
Absolutely.
These women were used for somebody's self gratification,
Uh-huh.
or to be with someone who's out there having to deal with these traffickers, and you're using them to be your girlfriend. I wouldn't think that any of these women are putting themselves in a position where they might be having to I don't like this. I don't like this,
Nope.
Shy. Not at all.
No, I agree with you. These women are they're trying to discredit them. And that's what they do every day in that organization. It's
Right,
ridiculous.
right. Okay, let's hear some more.
But they know who we are and have lied about us. I have risked my life for this cause, and the pain and fallout from it has been tremendous. The way in which they have handled us, the very victims they say they swear to protect, is gut-wrenching. We have not been out to get anyone. We have just told the painful and traumatizing truth. Embarrassingly, we became the victims, yes, but we are also warriors. And there are many women and men, unnamed and unknown, who aren't standing here, who too have been hurt by this. We join this fight to rescue and protect children, women, men, and to stop predators. And we are still doing that right now by speaking this truth.
Oh, good girl.
How many more women have to come forward for this to be taken seriously and be seen for what it is? If this was your wife, your mother, your sister, your friend, would it be so hard to believe it then? It's ugly, yes, but it has to be seen because this has to stop. I joined a cause to fight for victims and prevent further pain. I don't want more war, more victims, more hiding and denying for this world. I want more healing, action, and coming together. And sometimes the most painful part of that healing is telling the damn truth. There comes a time in your life when you can no longer put off choosing. You have to choose one path or the other. You can live a life safe and be protected by people just like you, or you can stand up and be a leader for what is right. This quote's really resonated with me the last couple of days. My goal today is to enable and encourage honesty and accountability. It was never my intention at the beginning for this to end up in a public setting, but as time goes on, it has become increasingly clear that this is the right option. When the truth is not being heard in a private setting, sometimes shining a light on it and giving it a larger voice is the only option. I'm not standing here today to spread hate or anger. I'm here to—
Okay, I gotta stop for a minute because I gotta comment on it. I gotta Google Chai if he's married, if he's still married or his wife left him, because she was actually named in one of the lawsuits.
I didn't
She
know
was,
that.
yes, yes. And there's another lawsuit we're gonna talk about. I'll
I
over
don't
to
know that
you.
I would actually be sort of surprised if they got divorced because of their religion. They don't practice polygamy, but they have the covenant. From what I understood, because there's different branches, because we have a lot of Mormons that live around us, and just from talking to them.
Now, I know that Tim Ballard was, I can't remember if he resigned from the organization, Operation Underground Railroad, or if they booted him out. I don't know for sure.
I think it was a mutual agreement. I might be wrong, but I think it was mutual.
But the attorneys filed a total of 8 lawsuits against him on behalf of these people and others.
I wish they could sue the CIA, because I can guarantee you all these women have it in writing where they sent it up there to the powers that be, and they just ignored it because they're just females. And that
Now,
couldn't possibly be true.
I don't know which of these women is this person. Now, we know the woman talked about the injury during a training event. She is suing, but the thing about it is, it was dismissed because she had signed a waiver before being injured.
Yeah.
Then another lawsuit alleging that Tim Ballard and his associates tried to intimidate a critic, Suzanne Whitehead, into silence. They were both dismissed and both are being appealed. Now, all right, I want to talk a little bit about the female who was in the movie Sound of Freedom. Her name is Kelly Soares. I know I'm butchering that name. And she sued him for defamation over how a character in Sound of Freedom, based on her, was depicted in the film. Was subsequently guilty of pimping a minor in Colombia. Now we're gonna get into that a little bit. He countersued her. Okay, wait a minute. The women in the other lawsuits, the two that were, wait a minute. The woman in the other lawsuits, as well as the new federal lawsuit, alleged that Ballard groomed them, manipulated them, and sexually exploited them with acts ranging from assault to the actual R word. So somewhere along the line, He did cheat on his wife, it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
And then, okay, let me find myself here, girl. Now he countersued the woman named Kelly for the defamation. He accused his former executive assistant of illegally accessing his computer and using the information as part of the lawsuit. In his suit, he alleges that the assault allegations were concocted to thwart his anti-trafficking efforts. Everything that people are saying about him, it seems like that he is saying, oh, you're doing this to mess up this great thing I'm doing for trafficking victims. That's what it sounds like.
No, you're correct.
It also states that, unfortunately, it appears there are wealthy and powerful people connected to this dark and evil underworld who do not want to be exposed. Well, we know that. There's always bigger fish out there in the ocean.
Sure.
Okay, now, the most recent federal lawsuit includes an audio recording where Ballard and an associate, Ken Krogh, recount a meeting with M. Russell Ballard. This is where the church gets into it. A former acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Latter-day Saints, Lord have mercy, who died last November. Tim Ballard in the recording say that M. Russell Ballard told Tim Ballard he would be a household name in 10 years. And Krogh adds that if it didn't happen, we'd all be slaves.
Well, let that marinate for a minute. My gosh.
Yeah. So, some fortune teller stuff. I don't know. I mean, that guy was a big player in the Mormon church.
Huh.
Lawyers say the women allege he used such stories as he grooms his victims to gain her admiration and trust by positioning himself as a spiritual savior and heroic figure in the fight against trafficking.
Yeah.
Wow. Hold on. Now he's suing the sexual assault defamation suit. He's suing her. But this is what I wanted to get to here. Because this is what he's doing to this woman. I'll just pull this over here. So Tim Ballard sues woman who accused him of sexual assault for defamation. The woman who accused him of SANR, he says it's really outrageous and outlandish. He's doing this to the victims. Or maybe she said that. Okay, a year after 7 women accused Tim Ballard of RNSA, the founder of the Operation Underground Railroad, fired back this week, filing a lawsuit claiming the allegations are false, defamatory, and demanding they pay for the damage done to his reputation. They are saying that Tim Ballard is the victim. And everybody's lying.
Yeah.
He says that it was all concocted to derail his efforts to stop child sex trafficking.
He likes to victimize the victim again, is basically what he's doing. He's making them relive their trauma. He's hoping that he can intimidate them into pulling that back, their statements. It, it's not going to work. They're going to stand on it because it happened. They're telling the truth. They don't have a reason to make this up.
Well, that's what gets me, because one of it says, unfortunately, it appears there are wealthy and powerful people connected to this dark and evil underworld who do not want to be exposed. Really? So he's basically saying that people with money are the ones trying to encourage these women and these other lawsuits against him.
He's trying to state, from what I've understood, that the actual power brokers, the people that run these trafficking organizations, are behind these women coming forward to show a bad light on trafficking, to say that trafficking doesn't happen. It's not real. That Tim Ballard lied. That Tim blah, blah, blah. He's trying to throw everything back on these women.
Well,
and saying that
this is what gets me, because these women are all very educated,
right.
and some of them were involved with trafficking in some, way or another, in a positive light. I mean, the one woman had worked with victims for 10 years.
The
So,
biggest part, I don't mean to interrupt you.
no, go ahead.
The biggest thing, the reason I believe these women, the minute they came forward, they blew their cover. They can never go out in the field again. They worked years to get where they are, because now, and they've also opened themselves up to getting hurt or seriously injured or worse by these traffickers who they didn't know what their faces or names look like until now. I mean, they work with a lot of child P cases from overseas. The CIA does. They're like, they can intercept anything. People think that their phones are not.
Well, and
You,
this is the
yeah,
thing. If he is in the position that he is in, why would he come out and talk about the undercover couples ruse? Because now, if they are using that, he will definitely put any female in more danger, I believe,
right,
now that he's come out and talked about that.
right. And it's a lie. There is a couple's ruse, but it's not like how he described it. And he put these what he did is, by doing all this, he put these women's lives at risk, and they've already put themselves at risk trying to save children, because they've been undercover. They've done what they had to do to try to save these kids. They know what they're doing. They are educated. They're not just somebody that, like Ernie, that gives a kid a hug to come with them from a tunnel. Okay, these are real professionals that know what they're doing. And this guy is
Yes, I
disparaging their
agree too.
character.
We talked about this. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody with common sense who has ever researched trafficking or anything knows that if those children would have really been in that tunnel, they wouldn't have just ran to Ernie Shell. Okay.
No,
They
and
wouldn't have
right,
they wouldn't have
no.
let anybody hug them or anything. So that was
Just
just craziness.
if anyone finds a child, I'm just going to throw this out there as like a positive. If you find a missing child, your first instinct is going to be to help them, hug them. Don't do it, because you're going to transfer fibers. You're going to destroy everything.
Right.
Take them straight to call 911. If you're somewhere and they're in your, and they get in your car, take them straight to the hospital, because don't hug them. You want to, trust me, been there. You want to hug these kids. You can't, because they've got to have their clothes taken. bagged for evidence. I mean, these kids are going through hell. And these women that are on this fought for these kids to have justice and be safe and not have to live this terrible life anymore. And then so Tim Ballard's now going to out them.
Right.
That's not okay with me at all.
Now, so September, there was another lawsuit that he filed against a former Miss Utah, Amy Morgan Davis.
Hmm.
She's been an anonymous plaintiff in the assault lawsuit against Ballard, but was recently named in a story by the New York Times. Now, if I can find them, I have the text messages between Ballard and Amy Morgan Davis. So, no one was surprised when he also put a suit against her. So
No.
they knew that it was coming. They said that he has done the same things for the past 10 years. He threatens to sue people if they speak out against him, or on his end, it's really outrageous and outlandish that he's doing this to the victim, but it shows his desperation.
That's right.
His desperation. I mean, some of these articles and stuff. Oh, you're not going to let me get it?
I hate that. They want you to pay for everything now. I'm like, that's just ridiculous.
I got to pay for it. Let me see. They just hopefully want to send me some articles. That is not the wrong email address. So no, I am not using you. I was excited to look at that article, but forget it. Okay,
Yeah,
so of course he's saying it's false. And I do have those text messages right here, I think. All right, we're going to get into it here. Tim Ballard's text messages with victim expose possessive behavior and cosmetic surgery. Oh boy, had his fat taken from under his chin. Cost him $8,000.
which is a drop in the bucket to him. He made a lot of money.
Oh, he made a lot of money off that movie.
Yes.
He made a lot of money off that movie.
And his organization sold merchandise and all kinds of stuff. So
oh yeah, absolutely. I wonder how Jim Caviezel feels about it.
You know, I don't think he's ever come out and made a statement, but he seems like a really caring, nice guy. So I can't imagine that he's going to co-sign this, you know?
Okay. So text messages obtained exclusively by ACJ exposed not only Tim Ballard's possessive tendencies, but also his cosmetic surgeries. And the stunning level of operational incompetence. This guy, this is my opinion, but this guy is a creep. He's a creep.
Agreed.
Okay. The exchange features Ballard using his covert alias, Brian Black, and one of his alleged victims, Kira Lynch, in one particularly invasive message. He admits to going through her personal drawers, casually informing her that he's aware of the medication she's been taking. Wow. He went through her stuff. He said, I saw you have as many meds as I do in your drawers.
Hmm.
I want to talk to you about that. I've been through tremendous depression and anxiety this last year, framing his violation as an invitation to commiserate. Here's some of the text. She said she had yet to respond when he said again, I'd like to talk to you about it. His persistence only deepens with the following message: may be able to help me. Before finally confiding, we both went through massive betrayal trauma. This repetition in his plea suggests an almost desperate attempt to bond through shared pain, blurring the lines between personal and professional conduct. She responded with a heart emoji.
So he's trying to trauma bond with her is exactly what he's trying to do.
Exactly. But what was he going through?
Well, I
Not
will say this I know from myself, that is not an easy job. I mean, working with these perverts, excuse my language, but I mean, they're a breed in themselves. They don't stop. You can't rewire them. You think you're ahead of them. They're 15 steps ahead. You can be depressed. I had depression and anxiety when one of my offenders got caught reoffending, and I had no freaking idea until he took a polygraph, because when you're on parole, you have to take a polygraph every year. I had no idea what all this guy was doing. And
wow.
I had to send him back to prison, of course. Well, I got depressed and anxious about that because I'm like blaming myself. And then I put myself in therapy, and my therapist is like, how could that possibly be your fault? And I was like, oh,
Yeah, how was that your fault?
but that's just it. When you work with all these people, you internalize it and you do self blame, and
Right,
it does cause anxiety and depression because you're wondering, well, what's everybody else doing? Is somebody else reoffending? Which
right,
they probably, I mean, that was early in my career. Now I just assume they're going to reoffend. Just saying.
right, right.
So
Well, the thing about this is he actually went through her belongings.
that's illegal.
Why
And
wouldn't
what,
why would she not think to say that's not cool?
I think, just like I said, with the culture of the CIA, I think he used his power and control over her because they demean women. The CIA, in my opinion, I have heard the way they talk to their female counterparts,
Right,
because they've called them when they're on calls and they're like, okay, whatever. Don't you need to go make a sandwich? I heard one of them tell this lady, don't you need to go?
wow.
And I'm like, why don't you make your own? I mean, I wasn't nice about it, but they, so I assume because their culture is male dominated, it's patriarchal, these women had no one to go to, I can almost assure you. And
Wow.
so when he says massive betrayal trauma, I think that means, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'll bet you he got his butt in so much trouble at work over something, and he feels like he was betrayed and they caught him, but they didn't fire him, because that's what all of this looks like. When he's been through tremendous depression and anxiety, dude, you don't work there for 20 years and sit behind a desk and be a co-responder
Right.
unless you're a total screw up. I'm just saying.
Well, this is what it said. It remains unclear what betrayal Tim Ballard is referencing, whether real, imagined, or just a grooming technique. However, based on ACJ's nearly 6-year investigation into Operation Underground Railroad and Ballard himself, one significant betrayal that may have rocked him with the defection was the defection of his sister-in-law and former OUR chief financial officer.
Oh, wow.
She was cooperating with the FBI in its criminal investigation into Ballard and OUR.
Yeah, I didn't
Wow.
know that. That's what he's talking about, betrayal. So because she told the truth, she's betraying him, is the way I take that.
Well, it wasn't only her. Along with them, President John Lyons and recently hired Director Carlo Rodriguez, a retired Washington State Patrol Sergeant, they agreed to assist prosecutors. ACJ interviewed Rodriguez as he was en route to meet with investigators in Utah. They all, says, masked their departure at the time. A multi-criminal investigation was underway targeting not only Tim Ballard, but also attorney Sean Reyes and Operation Underground Railroad. They all three eventually left OUR, masking their departure under the guise of forming a new anti-human trafficking organization called Coaction Global. Oh, so they left.
Okay.
This is where he talks about getting his neck done. Now, I gotta say trigger warning because there's pictures of him. Immediately after surgery, he shared this photo with Lynch. It was in the hospital recovery room. He had bloodshot eyes, surgical marker lines on his feet, on his cheeks. His head, face, and neck are heavily bandaged. Huh. He said, just finished surgery. Oh my gosh.
Because
Why
that's
is
the first thing you do is take a selfie. I mean, what
yeah.
is this guy thinking? Who does that? Oh, somebody that wants to be a victim. Feel bad for
Well,
me.
I'm wondering if he sent one to his wife.
You know,
Okay, so then he's at
maybe.
home and sends this picture. Heavily medicated, his face drooping, eyes bloodshot. He texted her, I'm home, followed by a second picture on the same couch, this time showing the left side of his bandaged face. He points out what he described as bleeding from his ear. He texted bleeding blood emoji.
What the heck?
The text between her and Ballard reveal a far more intimate relationship than strictly professional and platonic. The fact that Ballard chose to contact Lynch immediately after his surgery using a phone designated for operational use and to share photos of himself in a vulnerable post-surgery state starkly contradicts the claims made by Ballard and spokesperson Chad Colton that this was purely a platonic relationship. Dude. Okay. If it was a purely professional relationship, why would Ballard leave clear evidence on her phone that they weren't truly husband and wife?
Absolutely.
Along with personal details of his surgery, details that cartels or traffickers could easily exploit.
Mm-hmm.
What do they mean by that?
That means he can never go undercover again. Not like he ever did, but like cartels, they identify people like these women can never go undercover again. Like that woman when she had the side of her head shaved, I can guarantee you. I think that's when I'm almost sure that's when I saw her at that seminar or that training. But anyway, the cartels can identify you. So she shaved that side of her head. She was probably on an op mission at that time too. And then
Well,
she let her hair grow back, and they can't. Any identifying marks the cartels will use
yes,
and
because
traffickers.
this is what they're saying. If Lynch's cover was compromised, giving her lack of experience in law enforcement or covert operations, she
Right.
could just as easily betray Ballard armed with incriminating evidence.
Hmm. Yeah, that one
Okay.
I'm not sure about.
So basically, what they're saying is because this woman doesn't know anything about law enforcement or anything like that, that she could actually tell people who might be after Tim Ballard what he actually looks like and stuff. Is
Right.
basically what they're saying, right?
Sure, because he'll have scars and marks and things like that, so he can be identified. Yes.
May May, you're so funny, May May. Okay, so the text messages between Tim Ballard and the women involved in the Couples Ruse fraud revealed deep, troubling behavior. He manipulated these women, invading their personal spaces, attempted to cultivate intimate relationship for his own benefits. His actions, such as entering a woman's bathroom and scoping out her medicines without permission, and later sharing personal details of his life, like his desire to have plastic surgery and his recovery from such, demonstrate a pattern of grooming behavior.
Yes, I agree with that.
This evidence paints a stark contrast between Ballard's public persona and his evil private actions. It shows that rather than being a protector, he exploited these women in ways alarmingly similar to the very trafficking he claimed to fight. These communications will provide crucial insight for juries, highlighting the disturbing irony that in his alleged efforts to combat trafficking, he himself engaged in exploitative and predatory conduct that makes him the classic sex trafficker.
Yep,
Wow.
that's true.
I
I
mean,
mean, he's an offender, in my opinion.
yeah, he's a big time offender, it sounds like. That's my opinion too. That is my opinion too. I'm trying to find goodness sakes, I've been on here over 2 hours. I'm trying to find this is okay. So he resigned from the organization
Okay.
after the board of directors conducted an investigation into alleged misconducts. That organization paid him $600,000 in 2023,
Sure.
despite his ouster in June of that year due to the tax filings. Wow.
Yeah, I knew this guy has a lot of money, a lot of money. And what surprises me is he didn't buy these women a lot of things. I don't know why, but most men do that for their paramours or whatever you want, when they're cheating on their wives, they buy them expensive gifts, and he didn't do that. So he was using his religion, I think, and trying to compensate for himself is like, see, I'm not really cheating, God. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really cheating because they're not really touching me, or I'm not buying them things. I'm just going through their personal belongings, and that's okay. I nothing.
Yeah, yes, Bertie. He was actually had
He was a CIA op. He really was. But
yes,
he was
but
a
he was the one who allegedly started this organization, Operation Underground.
right. He did. After
That's you.
he quit, he said he quit the FBI. I mean, the CIA. I don't know that he quit or they asked him to leave, but either way, he left the CIA and then continue to rescue kids, allegedly, and then started this Operation Rescue or Operation. Oh,
Underground
well, yeah, that's
Railroad.
it. OUR. Yep.
Okay, so this is a woman I was talking about, this Kelly Soares.
Okay.
Okay, so she's suing Tim Ballard over a portrayal in Sound of Freedom movie. Is convicted of pimping out a minor. Okay, she faced 20 years in prison, and her lawsuit against Ballard has been undercut by a conviction stemming an island party that he staged 10 years before that. Okay, he staged, okay, I know a lot of people probably didn't see the movie. He staged a party with little kids,
Right.
and basically went around telling people that rich white men would pay him money. So she said that the depiction of her as a child trafficking monster was defamatory and slanderous because she was never involved in the trafficking. She was played by Jessica Barado on the right. So she's suing Tim Ballard after the movie, but she was convicted on Monday of pimping a child under 14 by a court in Colombia, and this just happened on September 4th.
Huh.
The suit, though, stems from a 2014 sting in Colombia that Ballard participated in, where him and others posed as rich Americans looking for child sex. Okay? Now, at first I didn't want to hear her out because they charged her with that, but she was depicted in the film. This is kind of weird. Okay, so we know about the sex party. So she'd been depicted by Ballard in various speeches as a former beauty queen who sold children into sex slavery. Filmmakers said she was the basis for the Sound of Freedom character, Giselle, who uses the guise of running a modeling agency to abduct kids and sell them to sex trafficker. She sued Ballard and the filmmakers in February, claiming she was never involved in child trafficking and was, in fact, trafficked. She and other young people ranging from 13 to 30 were paid by Ballard to attend an island party promoted on Facebook, and according to her suit, was mistaken for another woman who helped plan the island meetup. She's saying that wasn't her.
Huh.
Her suit hinged on the fact that years after police busted the party, she had not been convicted of any crime. But on a Monday, she and 3 other organizers of the party were convicted of pimping, which Ballard said in a statement shows the allegations that have been made against him are baseless. Wow. So there again, he's taking something and using it to say, I didn't do anything. There
Right.
he's doing it again. The same attorney who has so far lost every case against me and my wife promoted the false claims of a woman now convicted of child sex trafficking, likely dooming her civil case too, he said. This conviction proves the value of our work, here we go, to protect innocent children, and continues an unbroken string of failures in cases against me.
Wow.
They are appealing it. Obviously, Miss Cerez, her partner, and her mother are devastated as she is facing 20 years in a Colombian jail. However, victim advocates from around the world are donating their money to Kelly to appeal this matter to the Colombian Supreme Court with the best appellate attorneys in Colombia. They said evidence showed she was innocent. A Colombian investigator testified that she was a passive participant and was put on the table by organizers to make the island party happen. The attorney also said that all the attendees at the party were above the age of consent, and Ballard's group paid them to attend, as well as buses and boats to get to the island, creating the demand for trafficking. Wow. That says a lot, don't you think, right there?
Yes, I do. I think it's huge.
Why
Huge.
why would he? Yes, that's not good.
I don't know that Keira Lynch is actually innocent. I don't know, but I don't feel like Ballard is either, honestly, because he paid them to attend. Why? How would you know who to pay in the first place? I mean, I wouldn't know who to go pay to attend in Colombia to a party.
I this guy this guy does all of this stuff, and when someone brings out something negative about him, he makes it about himself and my innocence, and sounds to me like he can't even say that. Is this guy supposed to be a perfect specimen of a human man?
Um, according to him, yes.
I mean, because the dude has not took
He
any
won't. He no accountability, no responsibility. It's everybody hating on him. He never did anything wrong in his entire life. I mean, we hear that all the time. That's what makes me think even more that he's a predator.
So he paid all of these people that she's saying were above age, and he paid all of them. He arranged that whole scenario.
I didn't know that, but it's just not surprised. But he didn't even have to really do that because trafficking does exist. Like, and
Well,
he knows that.
that's the whole thing, but he made it all about himself.
Right. I
And
mean, yeah,
that's why I talked about also, because when he did that movie, The Sound of Freedom, when I watched it, that's one thing that stood out. It just stood out that the whole movie was about him. It was based around him and him being a hero to the two children that he adopted. And I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with that. Um,
right.
but he took, I guess this is what bothers me. He took a very serious thing that is happening in our world.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people thought that that film was going to come out and it was going to make people realize that these things are happening, really going on. And it turned out that he just wanted to talk about himself. And
Right.
he made things in that movie, uh, made scenarios like they were true factual situations when they weren't.
You know what? I don't mean to interrupt, but if you go further in this article, it talks about Keira Lynch
Yeah,
who alleged,
right.
okay, that his attorneys said the order was not renewed. So she had an actual order after she accused him of assault with SA, and the judge declined to renew it. But
Yeah,
here's what gets me.
yeah, declined to renew a sexual violence protective order where she says that he AR'd her in 2022.
But what gets me
Um,
is anytime you have a protective order, if you run someone in NCIC with a protective order, there's a thing in the corner that says Brady law, yes or no, and it says Y or N.
right.
So for him, it said yes, he wasn't supposed to collect guns or have guns on him,
Well, it says right
firearms.
here that I guess her kids went to the same school that his kids went to, and he couldn't take his kids to school or some crap, which is bull crap. I mean,
I wonder how his wife felt about that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. So uh, there was a hearing on another protective order obtained
wow.
by someone named Celeste Boris, Ballard's former executive assistant, who said she was also AR'd by Ballard. Now, her suit alleges that as he actually assaulted her and AR'd her on multiple occasions, but it's still pending. Um, wow. They say Lynch and Boris also have filed series of criminal complaints against Ballard in Utah and California.
You know, I don't know why he's not incarcerated because she was actually given a protective order. They must have chosen not to prosecute him for that. There must be a police report out there. And of course, nobody's going to ever be able to FOIA it because I'm sure it's buried and
Right.
put on blackout. But this guy, it sounds like he should be incarcerated. It doesn't sound like he should be walking amongst us.
Not to me, it doesn't, but I would think that they would give him bond anyway.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's the whole fact of the matter that he did all of these things, and I mean, just the whole couples ruse. He's basically saying that that is used also by in different situations with other individuals who are a part of that organization, but yet the women who obviously had a problem with it, if there was more than the six that was sitting there, um, you know, obviously didn't per se have to do their interview to start with Tim Ballard.
Right.
But he says that there's just females all over the organization that have, done these couples ruse. I mean, this guy, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
There is a couples thing, but it's not called a couples ruse. I mean, there are people that act in teams, and sometimes they do it for safety, to be
Right,
honest. But he is making that is just absolute bull hockey. Some of the stuff he said.
right. Yeah, I don't agree with anything he said. Well, let's let this last witness talk.
Okay, I don't think there's any sound on her.
Okay, hold on. She's hard to hear. Sometimes I have to stop sharing it and then bring it back up. It does that every once in a while.
Yep, YouTube fabulous. You gotta love it.
All right, here we go.
But I firmly believe in truth, and I believe in letting light shine through, even if it is incredibly difficult.
Oh, hold on.
Those who know me know that I have always been extremely
There we
passionate
go.
about saving and protecting women.
Sorry, y'all.
The reason I became involved with OUR from the beginning was because I have always had an extremely strong desire to help those who could not help themselves, to protect those who could not protect themselves. As someone who's dealt with my own fair share of pain in life, my desire to save women and children was and still is strong. My goal from the beginning has not changed. And even though it is scary, I will continue to give a voice to what is true and to what is right, because that is the most important thing to me and always has been. The goal to save women and children is noble, and it deserves to be fought for, but the ways in which it was gone about were and are wrong. Those methods and the people that enacted them and sat by while they were implemented need to admit it and accept it, because lying about it and pretending that the manipulation, abuse, addiction, coercion, and more did not happen is not an option anymore. I wish that this could have been dealt with in a private way, but when avoidance, denial, and lies keep happening, I have to take steps moving forward and do what needs to be done. Success on any major scale requires you to accept responsibility, and in the final analysis, the one quality that all successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. Now is the time for OUR and Tim to take this accountability, to accept this responsibility for the sake of the organization and what it represents, but for us women and men, and countless others who have been wronged in a variety of ways. Now it is OUR's and Tim Ballard's time to step up and do the right thing.
Well, we will be finding out if they step up and do the right thing.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's just disgusting to me. Now,
It is.
we can get into when Tim Ballard came out about this movie. Glenn Beck jumped on the bandwagon. I believe he gave him $1 million. I would just really like to know these people who put their heart and soul into that movie. I don't want to discredit them because unfortunately one person can take away years of a good thing.
Right.
And so it does, it puts the whole organization and everyone in it. But if you've got the financial officer and two higher ranking people in the organization that actually worked with, the FBI or whatever it was to try to find out what this guy is doing, that speaks for itself right there.
Yes, it does.
That speaks for itself. Now, I know that the Mormon church, what is it? They shunned him or whatever. He was.
They booted him out. They booted him out. I mean, whatever the word for booted out is. Yeah.
Yep. They shunned him or whatever it is.
Right.
But so there's just not one. I mean, this guy was all over the place, and he did know a lot of high-ranking individuals and things like that. But I think just with the Couples Ruse crap, that he needs to have to take accountability for all of this that he did. I just don't see any of that being justified.
Quite frankly, the CIA needs to take accountability because these women had no one to go to for help. And the CIA will never take accountability. For one thing, I mean, they're global. They have, they have operatives all over the globe. And they put their lives at risk every single day. And if one of them gets doxxed, like from a scar or a tattoo or something, that's why you won't see CIA operatives with tattoos. You don't, unless they're semi-permanent, because they can be made out and they know that they're going to die, and not
Right.
just them, but their coworkers, maybe families, all kinds of things. Feds get tattoos all the time, unless they're undercover. But they all blood, sweat, and tears. All these women, blood, sweat, and tears to rescue these kids, keep these kids safe. They've been all over the world, and to work for us, so that our kids are safe. Where's their protection? Why didn't the CIA protect them? Because I can guarantee you that they complained and complained about Tim Ballard and nothing happened, because it's the good old boys club up there. I've seen it.
Well, and also it's the fact that a lot of things, if individuals would have researched the Operation Underground Railroad, a lot of individuals who did started talking about the aftercare of these alleged trafficking victims, these underage trafficking victims. And they say that a lot of a major point in some of the scandal of that organization is they tell exaggerated and excited stories about conducting trafficking raids, which apparently consist of former U.S. military officers kicking indoors and whisking children out of harm's way. There is not even the pretense of considering the psychological impact such as actions would have on an underage victim, nor
Right.
any consideration of jurisdictional issues. It's just G.I. Joe fan fiction. The
That's
great
true.
irony is that there's no evidence that the organization has actually rescued a child anywhere.
Right. I agree.
A lot of people say that you have to understand that the organization is not legitimate before the gravity of what is happening can really set in.
If they would have just said, we want to share information and resources for trafficking, and not made up that they went out there and rescued kids, people would have bought into it a lot more, and they'd still stand up for them. But they didn't do that. They said they actually went out, rescued kids, and there's not one instance ever of of our rescuing kids that I can find. I might be wrong, but I have never seen it. If they would have just said, we're advocacy, we want to pay for therapy, we want to help these kids after they're rescued, that would have been honorable. But instead, they embellished it and said that they themselves are still going out and rescuing them. And the thing is like, you want to, I'm trying to think how to say it YouTube friendly. They didn't need to lie about it. Put it that
Right,
way. I mean,
right.
I can't find any instances where they actually rescued kids. I cannot. Or that our place. But the CIA, they rescued lots of kids. Lots of kids. And you know what? Tim Ballard may have very well been present when that happened. I don't know. But what I do know is those women were also present. Sorry. One of them was pregnant. That's what I was going to say, when she was rescuing children. And she put herself, her unborn child, in jeopardy to save others' lives, and no one gave her any credit in that whole agency.
Wow.
And she was one of his victims. Because those women that are on there have kids, the ones that are suing him. So, not good.
I just
Not
don't.
at all.
That's just horrible. That's
I mean, they put
horrible.
themselves at risk to save people's children that they don't even know just because they feel like that's what they need to do. They put their heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears in it. They risked their lives, and Tim Ballard exploited them.
Hmm.
He's suing them for telling what he did to them. It's like it's sick. This guy is a predator. I believe that. It's my right to believe that, and I'm always going to believe that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I do agree with you there. But, that's what gets me too, is because, this guy, I mean, this is just a small piece of what's going on with this guy.
Sure.
He was way up there. I mean, you can go through this. I'll have to read this again another time. I don't have time to do it right now. But this is all the defendants. And they, let me see. This is all about him. They raised money in order to conduct multiple sting operations to purportedly rescue trafficked women, children. OPS is being conducted outside the United States. Many of the OPS include wealthy men with no military training who wanted an experienced vacation, where they dropped into third world countries to rescue trafficked children with photo opportunities and stories in the local newspapers of their heroics, all the while flying first class. This is telling us a little bit about Tim Ballard and the organization. While promotional and media materials made the OPS appear to be paramilitary drop-ins to arrest traffickers and rescue children, what most OPS consisted of was going to strip clubs, massage parlors across the world after flying first class to get there and staying at a 5-star hotel, on boats, and at VRBOs across the globes. It was a fundraising machine, though they were more show than substance. The entire OUR enterprise was funded by donors for these OPSs, many of whom held bake sales and literally donated their widow mite to OUR and Tim Ballard.
Wow.
There he is with President.
Yep.
His best friend, his buddy, was the Utah Attorney General, Sean Reyes. For real. Now, Ballard had made a comment, something about he was wanting to run for Congress or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I did hear that.
That was another reason why he said people were coming after him.
Right.
That's Reyes right there. This tells all about Tim Ballard.
See, that's the thing that gets me is Tim Ballard was in it. The reason I keep bringing up the guns and the protective order, there was a photograph of him in a bulletproof vest, with a duty belt, and it had a gun in it. So he's not even supposed to have access to fake guns, right? When you have a protective order, it's called Brady indicated. You can't have a weapon, a firearm, an explosive device. You can't have bullets, nothing. I wish I could find that picture again, because
Which one?
it's the one of Tim Ballard when he had that protective order in 22, and he had a picture of himself in an OUR bulletproof vest. Like, it reminded me, because that picture that you just showed of his friend, his best friend Reyes, and it was Ballard in that, but he's not supposed to have a firearm of any kind, not even a
I
fake
think
one.
that was up. Oh shoot, that's not. Is that on this? That might be on this. Hang on.
Because there's one on Reyes on here, but there's also one on the internet floating around that shows Ballard. That's it.
Oh,
Just
okay.
see if you put Ballard there instead of this guy, that's
What he has
Ballard.
on.
I don't know. It just bothers me. It just shows me that this guy has absolutely no respect for anything. If they tell you you can't have a gun because you have a protective order,
Right.
don't have a gun. Just like Betty is not supposed to have a firearm. I'm just throwing that out there. Whether she does or not, I don't know. I'm using her as an
Well,
example.
I thought it was weird because remember T-Rab came out and he was saying something about Seth wanted him to buy him that weapon,
Yes.
or something. It was really weird.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
And
yeah.
I don't know if Katie really has a protective order against Sean from California. I don't know. But if she does, he can't own a firearm. But see, working in the jail, he doesn't have a firearm. He just has mace spray. I
Right.
don't know what kind they have, but yeah, because he's not actually law enforcement.
OUR reported to the IRS 6.9 million in revenue in 2016, 22.3 million in 2019, 45 million in 2020, 52.930 million in 21, and 56.773 million in 2022. Tim Ballard reported receiving a salary of $525,958 in 2022, yet former employees claimed that Ballard earned over $1,400,000 through his for-profit companies, some of which were funneled from the nonprofit entity.
Yeah, that 14 million. I wonder if he was into money laundering too. I don't know.
This
Just
is
saying.
listen to this. In order to find and save trafficked children, Ballard would often receive psychic information from psychic defendant Janet Russin about where the OPS should occur, along with reassurance and justification of everything he did, while predicting the future situations the operatives would be in so that they could plan the next OP. Miss Russin claims she spoke to a dead prophet named Nephi who directed her about where to locate the trafficked children. He used OUR and OPS to fund his personal fantasies of grandeur.
Wow.
Then they talk about him starting the program called the Couples Ruse. It was an undercover tool to prevent detection by pedos when Ballard would not engage in sexual touching of trafficked women offered up to him in strip clubs and massage parlors. He would choose the women. He chose women who had no formal training in paramilitary activities or operation, but knew they were devoted to saving women and children from traffickers. He then took it upon himself to use this for grooming these women.
Yeah.
He would either share a bed with a woman posing as his girlfriend, invite her to shower with him, even though accommodations at designated safe houses provided separate bedrooms and bathrooms.
Ugh.
He had to make sure that they all had chemistry together. Massages, etc., etc. Wow. That's crazy. This is where the biggest problem comes in. He flew them across the country where they would practice their chemistry through tantric yoga, couples, massages with escorts, and lap dancing on Ballard's lap.
There's the lap dancing that all predators love.
Here's the OUR's president, Matt Osborne, and others from the organization also participated in the Couples Ruse with escorts in a 5-star Mexican City hotel. This says, this is Matt O up in the room if you need anything. Do you have Wi-Fi password room 4301 under what name? So sorry, blank 4301. I'll be in soon. Is that okay? Would you rather be with her alone? What's working best? Give me 20 more minutes. You just text me. What?
Makes no sense.
So basically, they say, this is interesting. He also frequented strip clubs in the Salt Lake Valley with these women to practice the couple rule. He would include his son, who had just returned from serving a mission for the Mormon Church, to the strip clubs without his wife knowing.
Oh, I bet his wife didn't know that because, yeah, that would have been ugly.
At the clubs, he would pay and receive lap dances and just alcohol and pills on the OUR's dime and donor monies. Wow.
What?
He engaged in a ploy where he would tell the women that they were that if they were offered alcohol, which is forbidden by the Mormon Church, that she should take the drink and then open mouth, kiss him, and spit the alcohol into his mouth, and then he would spit it out when the traffickers were not looking. What?
Yeah. I think he probably did tell him that, but, you know.
But they say he was doing the exact opposite. He was
Sure.
consuming excessive amounts of alcohol, tequila of his own violation, which he drank at the clubs, massage parlor, on trips, to the point of passing out. For example, they say he missed a $250,000 speaking engagement a few weeks ago because he was drunk and missed his flight. Wow. So these couples ruse at times ended up being, as the actual contact, and it is said that he propositioned many others. He did everything except for the penetration, let's put it like that. He developed a sexual position where it appeared he was having full-on intercourse with the couple's ruse victim while not actually penetrating.
Sure.
Even inside private accommodations with no one else around, he would claim that he and his female partner had to maintain the appearance of a romantic relationship at all times in case suspicious traffickers might be surveilling them at any moment. He also requested the women he invited to act as his significant others to first have a Brazilian wax. Then he would ask each woman, is there anything you wouldn't do to save a child? How messed up is that? That
Yeah.
makes me sick.
Yep. Predatory behavior.
Now, if any of his female partners would say anything, this is what he would do. He would badmouth previous female partners, claiming that the women who had allegedly gone on couple ruses in the past were crazy, and claiming that they had fallen in love with him along the way.
That's totally a predator. He's a predator. I mean, in my opinion, predatory behavior.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. They all loved him.
Yeah.
He
And he's a victim.
He used mythical stories to motivate the women in Couples Ruse to prove their mettle and devotion to the cause by trying to outdo their supposed predecessors. Wow, that's crazy. Employees at OUR would warn these women not to question Ballard, or their lives would be put in danger. He would also tell the women that engaging in sex play with him would improve their marriage, even as he also told them not to tell their husbands about what they were doing, or it would compromise the mission, children, their lives, and other informants' lives. Telling them if they failed their mission, that they would have wasted hard-earned money that honest donor had entrusted to OUR, or be caught or killed by the cartel. Wow, that's messed up.
It really is.
He was telling some of these women that Janet Russin and or Catherine had chosen them to be. Wow. This dude's crazy, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh, yes. At some point, we could possibly get into it. I'm not going to do it today. Where there was something's going on that I believe it's the Mormon thing, where they've kind of connected somehow these 4,400, you know what Lori Vallow's husband was writing about. They somehow, I don't know if it was like the same person or what was going on with that, but that's for a whole totally different live there for sure.
Sure.
For sure. H, you're so funny. You can't stand still. I get it. I thought CIA investigated intelligence because the CIA, they do have, you know, CIA operatives in other countries and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And the CIA, I think, is supposed to be
It's global.
Ballard told one of his victims that when his wife would question what Ballard was doing with these women, Ballard would tell his wife that his female partners kept falling in love with him and wanted to unalive her so they could be together.
Yeah.
He also told some of these women that if his wife ever passed away, that he would marry them.
He's wonderful. I mean, who wouldn't want to be with Tim Ballard? I don't
That's
understand why
crazy.
he's not incarcerated.
I don't know.
I mean, like, okay, in Ecuador, which I don't know if this is true or not, but they're throwing a big fit because our country paid for, I don't know, a certain amount of shows in Ecuador for transgender people, blah, blah. Well, the chances of that being a CIA op are huge,
Right.
right? I mean, so maybe there was trafficking there. There's trafficking everywhere around the world. This guy didn't have to. What makes me mad is he made crap up. It's bad
That's
enough.
what ticked me off, because you're absolutely right. It's bad enough that it is so hard to use your voice to speak on trafficking and
Mhm.
the horrific situations and that children and women and even boys and men are put
Right.
into. And you want to come out and you want to highlight all the red flags and things like that. Then you have a man here who took what should have been, to me, a sacred oath
Yes.
to help these trafficked children, and he used it for his own sick reasons.
Exactly. And see, what I want to know is why the CIA didn't come out and make a statement. They never said one thing about this. Nothing. They've never addressed the fact that they had a predator working for them. And I can guarantee you, Ballard's not alone. There's others. They just
Well,
turned.
I mean, the thing about it is, I think, right, and help me out here because I might be wrong.
Uh huh.
When he started OUR, he had already left the CIA.
Oh yeah, he got fired or quit. However you want to word it, it was a
Yeah,
mutual agreement.
yeah, something.
He severed his employment with the CIA. Yes.
Right. So that part of, I don't think any part of when he was with the CIA actually had anything to do with
But weren't
trafficking and stuff like that.
the women that are suing him used to work for the CIA, correct? Are they still employed with them? Do you know? Have they?
I don't think all of them used to work for the CIA.
Oh, okay. I thought one of them did. Maybe I'm wrong.
I know the one woman said that uh, I know she said she worked in trafficking for 10 years.
Okay.
And I thought she said she had like a degree in psychology or something. I could be wrong. I would have to go
No, that
back
makes sense. I know.
and see.
I think the one with the hair that used to be shaved on the side,
Right.
that grew. I'm 99% sure she used to work for the CIA. I don't know why, but it feels like she's the one that gave it. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the Department of Justice because they have the grant that runs the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But I'm almost sure she gave a seminar for our training.
Right.
Like I said, though, we had to be vetted. You just can't show up and say, hi, my name's Jane Doe and I'd like to come.
Well, he also used to tell the women that he would sue them if they ever, went against the non-disclosure agreement. And I remember one of them saying that they actually signed two. And then there were two marriages that broke up because of his actions with these women. He offered to pay for the divorce attorney of one of his victims and had a henchman call and threaten her husband on voice message, resulting in the police being called. In the
Wow.
spring of 2023 is when some of these women came forward. That is just craziness.
Just being who he is, being a former CIA op, knowing the people that he knows, having pictures with the president gives him power and control, or perceived power and control. And it's easy for victims to believe his bull crap because he can say, hey, look at me. Look at my picture with Ivanka Trump. Look at my picture with so and so. Look at this. And so
Right.
they feel like he's a position of power, and it's easier for him to victimize those women.
Well, he was terminated by the program, the OUR program.
Okay.
It says he was terminated, and a lot of the board of directors came to his defense, but most of them were related to him or related to one of his good friends.
That's nice.
So, as part of everything, of course, there was more NDAs, and they didn't want it to be a conflict of interest with the release of the movie. You know, he had financial interest in that, and he would take a very lucrative severance agreement and remain the face of OUR so it could continue to raise money. So he's going out there being the spokesperson for OUR that fired him. What freaking sense does that make?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
makes none. It means his relatives still work there, is how I
right.
think it. I
Yeah,
mean, and they're
yeah,
covering for
I
him.
would think. I would think. But OUR remained silent, using his face and the worldwide opening tour of Sound of Freedom to raise money, and allowed Ballard to continue his grooming, drinking, and sexual deviancy, all on the donor's dime.
Sure.
Rather than turn him in to law enforcement, they paid him $618,000 and gave him a Jeep Grand Cherokee to resign. Are you kidding me?
My job, if they'd give me that to resign, I'd probably take it.
I
No,
know. Me
I
too.
mean, my gosh, what is wrong with that? Means they had a whole lot of knowledge and they didn't want him to share it, in my
That's
opinion.
exactly what it is. But
Wow.
everything's coming forward now, and we're going to keep our eye out on it. And sorry, I can't go through the 100 page thing today, but
Gotcha.
wow, that we'll have to talk about this again, Chai. That's crazy.
It really is. I'm going to research some more so I can give you more input
Yeah,
because
I've researched so much of it, and even when I went to do this live, I was like, what do I want to show? Because I mean, I really hadn't even got really started with the Mormon church and that stuff, and there's a lot more that hadn't even come around and talked about it. So it's
I
just craziness, just craziness. So
how this guy is not incarcerated is blowing my mind because to get a protective order for SA as an adult isn't that easy. She had to have some kind of forensic testing.
oh, they found his semen on a skirt.
Well, what did he
She
say? It was consensual? I mean, I don't
she
understand why he's walking.
she kept a skirt with his jizz on it. And from my understanding, I was gonna kind of get more into that next time too. Yes, it's there. It is there that absolutely there's DNA. So
This
um
guy knows somebody to keep his butt out of jail. I'm just saying. I don't know who he knows, but it's somebody high up from when he used to be a CIA op. I mean,
yeah,
that's my opinion because I can guarantee you any other guy would be under the jail for SA on a female if they found that on a skirt. And she said she'd been sexually assaulted. Whoops, sorry.
yeah,
That,
I'm just waiting to I mean, like I said, um I'm just now hitting crazy stuff.
yeah, I'm gonna
I just jumped on this train and I just have so much. So much.
see because he knows somebody in power, or else he'd be incarcerated. That's my opinion, and I'm gonna believe it because money buys power, and power corrupts. Let's just throw it that way because Tim Ballard should not be walking amongst us. I didn't know she actually got a protective order for that, and that she had that on her skirt. There's
Right.
no reason. I mean, I know he's probably saying it's consensual because that's his only defense, but there was something to prove it wasn't, or she would have never gotten a protective order. Because I work with a lot of protective orders with victims to keep their assailants, like homicide victims. I mean, that's my
Right.
retirement job. I try to keep them, give them services and things like that. And
Well,
that's
I
why,
right now I have over 300 pages of an affidavit
oh, I
that
can't, I'm going to look it up. I can't wait
I
to read it.
I haven't even got into that yet.
Okay.
And I'll get into that on another live and cuz it tells us a whole lot. So,
Oh, yeah, I can't wait I'm going to look it up myself. Now I'm totally invested.
yeah, it's
Because there's no worse injustice than having somebody walk away from a crime that demeans a bunch of women, not just one, right?
right,
I mean, he demeaned all these women. He basically lied, which I had heard of multiple times in the past about rescuing children. I'd always heard
right.
um, that he had a desk job. But now, when you put this whole puzzle together, and it's still obviously missing a lot of pieces, he needs to be in jail and somebody's keeping him out. I don't,
Right.
boy, I hate that. That's my biggest
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
injustice.
Well, the millions of dollars that he's getting are from there were people with a lot of money that was especially when this movie came around, millionaires were lining up. And like they said, he would take millionaires who donated money and take them on like a vacation to where these children, he said were being trafficked and stuff. What kind of game is that? That is just not right. That is not right.
The only
So,
place that I've heard of that I went to, I mean, the only thing that I've heard of from all the trainings and stuff that I've gone to is Thailand. And I know that my brother is a combat vet and he went to Thailand, not as a combat, but as part of his duty. I
mhm,
do know it's true. They sell kids on the open freaking market there. And that's the only place in the world that I know of. And they also sell child pee. They're horrific. They're disgusting. They just need to take that whole country and turn it upside down and save all those kids.
right.
But I'm sure there's some really good people there. But unless he's taking them to Thailand, where is he taking them? Because that should be investigated by the
Well, I mean,
CIA.
he's allegedly he's going to places like Colombia, Cancun, different places like that. And
Huh.
I have an interview from one of the individuals that actually went on a couple missions with him, but I'm going to show it later because I've already been on here over 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, definitely when you find time, when if I'm talking about it and you get a chance and can come up, definitely come back up and
I will.
share your wisdom with me. I still need to do my part 2 on the Wixes.
Oh, did Kathy call
yeah.
you back?
No, I
Casey?
haven't heard from her, but I'll hit her up
Oh,
again. I'll hit her up again on Facebook and see if she's
okay. I know that
um
hurricane kind of slowed them down, so
yeah, that messed a lot of people up. It really
yep.
did.
But she's
So,
very cooperative, so okay. Yeah, just
oh
let me
yeah,
know and
definitely.
I'll get on with you with her too, because that little girl deserves justice. And so does her mother, Jennifer and Adriana Wicks. If y'all
Well,
haven't heard of them, Google it because it's an injustice.
yeah, there's a lot of injustices where it comes to women and children. So,
Absolutely.
but I will get on that. And then I'm going to talk about a guy named Lauren Naylor, but I changed it till tomorrow
Okay.
because I have a couple of women that were victims of his years ago. And so I want to, I want to make sure that they're ready to, come on and talk about, their story and
Sure.
about this nasty, evil guy. So, all right,
Okay.
darling, I'm going to get off
All
here.
right.
So,
I will I'll talk to you guys. You guys all have a great day.
all right. Thank you,
Okay.
Chai.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, you guys, I'm going to get off here. Thanks, Chai, for coming up and hanging out and talking with me. Thank you, H. Davis. Thank you, Poppy. Thank you. It was good to see you. Flies, thank you for popping in. Hey, don't forget, I love Charlie. I love Charlie. He's such a sweet guy. I just love him. Okay, I do. I love Charlie. Thank you, Jill, for popping in. Little Deb, May, I adore you. Cursed, Lisa, all you guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna get my butt off here, go get me something to eat for dinner, and I appreciate you guys. Please pray for all the children in the world and all the people who need just some positive reinforcement in their life right now. I like to hang with the positive people. I like positive people. I'm not real fond of negativity. It's everywhere though. And it's up to you all, because y'all are adults, whether to decide to go hang out with negativity or hang out with positivity. It's all on you. But while you're here, we're going to try to keep it, even though we talk about not good things, we're still going to respect each other and chat like y'all do. I appreciate that so much. Have our own opinions, our own theories, and I appreciate you guys. So this conversation about Tim Ballard, OUR, the Mormon Church, his victims, alleged victims, I have to say, like Chai said, don't know why the guy ain't in jail. But I will keep you guys posted on that. So thank you very much. Good night. Let me do my peace out. Oh, my camera's not working. Why are you not working, my camera? Well, anyway, peace out, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Let me play my outro.